Well, tensions have been growing between the Republican and Democratic members on the House Intelligence Committee over their investigation into Russia's alleged role in the U.S. election. Chairman Devin Nunes apologizing last week for consulting the White House about some new developments without filling in members of his committee first. That prompted the ranking member, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff, to blast what Nunes did, saying the chairman's actions demonstrate the need for someone else or an independent commission to lead this investigation.
I think the chairman has to make a decision whether to act as a surrogate of the White House, as he did during the campaign and the transition, or to lead an independent and credible investigation. I hope he chooses the latter. The country really needs to have an independent, credible investigation in the House. And we had that up until and through Monday.
How will this all shake out? Jim Walsh joins us, international security expert, senior research associate for MIT Security Studies program. So, Jim, so far, the tally, 7 officials or associates of the president who had contact with the Russians. Some were paid, like Paul Manafort, the AP saying he was paid $10 million a year over 3 years by a Putin ally. All are denying, wrongdoing. Can this committee, do you think, get to the bottom of all this?
Well, Eric, I hope so. And I'm not willing to write them off quite yet. I think the chairman would be the first to admit that he had a bad week. If you're forced to apologize, that means you've had a bad week. But I hope that they can pull it together. This is really important stuff. And the intelligence committees, it's not like an appropriations committee or an agriculture committee. You want your adult people in the room to be on these committees. You want it to not be bipartisan. You want it to be nonpartisan. You want this to be about Americans, not about Republicans and Democrats. So I hope that they can pull this together. I take some comfort in the fact that if they're not able to pull it together, still we do have the FBI who's looking into it, and obviously the intelligence agencies and the Senate. And the Senate seems to be working traditionally and on track. So I'm hopeful there.
Yeah, the Senate's supposed to start hearings this coming week. What do you expect from them?
Well, I think all the signals coming up from the chair and the ranking member are we're going to work together. We're going to be nonpartisan. We're going to take our time. We're not going to rush in front of the television cameras, every 5 minutes. I think that's the way to handle this. The allegation here is that a foreign country, really, an adversary in my view, but a foreign country tried to interfere with our elections, and that was certainly an early finding from the intelligence community. And that's as much a threat to Republicans as Democrats. It's a threat to Americans. This is not about party. If the Russians are, and I'm not saying the Russians tip the election. I don't believe that. But if they're trying, Eric, then we need to know about that. We need to get to the bottom of it, and we need to stop it.
Well, it's been shown that they have tried, not just here, but trying to do it in France, it is said, and in Europe, all part of Vladimir Putin's attempt to try to destabilize the West. But what about the issue that, if for some reason you got Russians all over the place? You're dealing with Paul Manafort, who has worked for that Russian-backed Ukrainian president when he ran and apparently had a big contract. Right in the middle is Roger Stone, who, man, oh man, he says he wants to testify. In fact, all three do. And Carter Page, the guy on the right, he has been an international energy businessman who has been involved with Russia and has gone over there several times. All deny wrongdoing. All say they want to testify. Do you think that they will testify? And will that be under oath? And what could come of that?
Well, I think it would be great if they testify. Anything that's on the public record will help all of us, not just the committee members, but all of us get a better sense of at least what their defense or their claims are. I think this looks bad, and it may turn out to be bad, but I don't think we should prejudge it, and I think we should let the process run its course. People should quietly do their job, look at the facts, and render their best judgment about the facts. And I think if they testify, that will help in that process. This is an investigation. All data is useful, and them testifying would be useful, too.
It's weird. It's just weird that Roger Stone has some communication with Guccifer, too, who the intelligence agencies say really is a cutout for Russian intelligence. That's just weird. Here's Roger Stone this morning on ABC saying it was all, meaningless, banal, and didn't amount to anything. Here's what he said.
Actually, my exchange with Guccifer, too, which is entirely on Twitter, both public and private, and which I have now made entirely public, constitutes collusion with the Russians is absurd. Number one, I don't concede that Grucifer is a Russian agent. Go online. There are more theories about that.
Our intelligence officials believe he was.
I understand. They also said there were that Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
And, of course, he said, has boasted that he has a back channel to Julian Assange. And in August had that tweet about Podesta, saying it was his time in the barrel. And then 2 months later in October, WikiLeaks, unleashes all those emails. He says he did not predict that. They're all denying any wrongdoing. So finally, where do you think this goes, Jim? How long does it stay with us? And what eventually do you think could happen?
Well, Eric, like you, I am troubled by this, and I think it looks bad. I think, though, that the thing about Americans, not Democrats or Republicans, but Americans pursuing the facts with the intelligence community, with the FBI, some of this stuff is just going to be proven to be coincidental or, not really important or not what it appears. Other piece of it, there's so much of it here. Other pieces of it may point in a different direction. I think it looks bad. The fact that the intelligence communities felt so compelled about this that they went and they briefed the congressional leadership on it, very unusual. Again, looks bad. But we need to hold, as hard as it is, we need to withhold judgment until people find the facts and issue the reports. I urge viewers and others to have patience. But I think it's very serious.
Indeed. It certainly is. It could potentially deal with the very tenets and undermining and foundation of our very republic and democracy. The next move, closed-door hearing this week in front of the House. We'll see, also what happens with General Mike Flynn. We haven't heard from him for a while, so you see where that goes. Jim Walsh of MIT, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eric.
Of course.